charms, back with another video. We are updating our D&D dice video, and we're also going to do a case for our dice. And get some sticks out. We are get these out of the way. All right, I'm going to show you guys 3 S's that will help you problem solve or have less issues when making your own dice. I have pre-mixed my resin. I've measured out what I want in each cup for my marble, because y'all decided blue and white for marble, and I gave you a choice of gray or metallic silver, and y'all decided to go with both. So we're gonna have 4 colors in our marble, and then I have resin set aside for our case, and I pre-measured out how much I want for my colors to marble the case. And there is a blooper in the first video that I did. Let me go over that quick because you see, this is one side of the case mold. Here's the other side of the case mold. This is the side I actually poured last time. And if you look, there's numbers right there in the center. If you can touch that and those numbers are raised, you're on the wrong side. You want to flip it. You should not be able to touch and have raised numbers on the side you need to pour. All right, thought I cleaned all this out. Missed a few. So we're gonna pour it correctly this time. It was kind of funny last time when I took it out of the mold and realized that the dice actually have pedestals to sit on, not divots to sit in. So that was kind of funny. But let's go over some issues that people have, or people come to me all the time about. They get holes, their dice are not cured all the way, there's little areas that have a big hole in it. So I'm going to show you some tips that will prevent that. The first one is we're going to spray our 99% isopropyl alcohol. Remember, you can use anything 91% or higher. I choose 99% because it evaporates faster. So I'm going to spray in each of my areas there of my mold. I'm going to let that sit while I mix up my colors. Okay, so for this, let's set this to the side. Where's my handy dandy baby wipes? Y'all know I have those. I'm going to lay that out so I can sit my sticks on it. And then, you remember I tell you guys, always stir your pigment paste so everything is combined, right? I'm gonna make sure it's good and stirred. Now, I'm wiping my stick off after I stirred it, and I'm just gonna dunk it in. And y'all, I'm telling y'all, it does not take much at all to make that white. This is going to be my other white. In fact, there's too much in these. Because y'all know, when I do any kind of marble, I want white as my base. I've always done that. Okay, so we have that. Get off the side there. So that's better. All right, so we have white. I'm just gonna do this. I've already stirred it. I'll wipe it down, twirl it, put that in there. Close that, get it out of the way. We're gonna do our gray. And you can see on my gray, I left half of this foil at the top so I can wipe my stick on the foil and not the side of the jar, because I don't want for my jar lid to get stuck because I have pigment paste there. So I can easily wipe it on this foil. So that is an extra pro tip for you guys. Alright, so we have our gray. We're gonna do gray over here. I'm just gonna wipe it down. Put this in our second. So we're done with gray. And this is called Gray Tide, if y'all are wondering. Gray Tide. Highly recommend Get on there. Highly recommend eye candy for Pigment Paste. I really love their Pigment Paste and haven't really had an issue with them. Ooh. Let's get that off there. Yeah. That was like a paint glob. Alright. Got that out of the way. I'm going to stir this up, make sure everything is combined. Because Pigment Paste, everybody has their own formula. And those are proprietary depending on the brand that you're using. Everyone's formulas are different, what they use and put in. So here is our blue for this one. Blue for that one. I can close this back, set this to the side, and then we have our silver. And this metallic, y'all, I'm telling you, it takes very, very little. Very little. Look, you see how much I have? And that's probably too much. And I'm gonna use there. See that? Very little. And I want you to see how silvery and beautiful. See that? Isn't that gorgeous, y'all? Look how silvery that is. Beautiful, beautiful. I love Les Resins and metallic powders. They mix really well. They don't leave these big clumps behind like some other mica powders do. So you want to make sure that's good and mixed. And let it sit. Mix up this one. Again, you see how easily it blends and combines. Get everything off the side. I always scrape my sides. I scrape my sticks to make sure there's nothing on my stick. And then I take this off the side wall and stir it back down in there. Good, so that's ready. Do our blue. See how quick these blend, y'all? This is why I love Pigment Paste. It blends so quick. Another reason I love Pigment Paste is because remember that chart, and I'll put it up here so y'all can see it if you've never seen it before. I made a chart that explains going from one end of the spectrum to your solid heavy colors all the way to the other end with your alcohol inks that are very light and float around, right? So I like using Pigment Paste because it's heavy. It weighs your resin down and it is heavy enough that it prevents bubbles. More so than, you know, other colorants that we can use. I have definitely found when I use Pigment Paste, I have less bubbles to deal with. And that is because you can think of this colorant dressing your molecule. With it being heavy, it would be like putting on a coat or a hoodie or a sweatshirt. That kind of heavy as compared to, you know, a shawl that would be alcohol ink or chiffon, something that's very lightweight. So we have our white, see that? Okay, stir up these. Now, I don't know if you saw the short or not, but I use a heat gun to heat this up a little bit because I'm in Colorado by the mountains, y'all. This resin's kind of heating up some, wow. So I gotta get a hurry on things, mix all my colors. But sometimes it gets cold here, and that means my resin is cold when I start. So I just hit it, you know, not very much at all, and I have it on low, just to heat it up some. All right, there's our gray, and our blue for this. Okay, and our silver's mixed. We're gonna set this to the side because I wanna do the dice first. Now, 3 S's. The first S is spray. So if you guys spray with alcohol, you're right, that's the first one. Now we gotta make our marble. we're gonna do it in here. Because I'm gonna pour marble a few times. So we're gonna pour some white. Oop. How did the blue get on there? Then we're gonna take some of the gray, drizzle in. We're gonna take some of the blue, drizzle in. Then we're gonna take some of this beautiful silver and drizzle that in. Now, I'm gonna take a clean stick. To marble, I go down, up, I'm not mixing it. You see that I just made bands in there. So when I pour this, I'm only pouring half right now because we're coming up to another S. And if you said squeeze, you are correct. That is the other S. All right. So, leave that right there. Second S is squeeze your dice from the bottom. That allows you to push any air that's trapped down there up to the top, and it also sucks down that resin into all your little nooks and crannies. So, there's that. Let's pour another round of, I don't need that. Pour another round of marble. So we have our white. We are drizzling some gray. We're drizzling some blue and this beautiful silver. Drizzling that. And then remember, with my stick, I just go down, up, down, up. I'm not mixing it. And now we're going to top these off. Okay? We're gonna fill the rest of these, and then I'm gonna show you another trick. Now, the other S is a syringe. You could pull your resin, because I'm marbling it, I don't want to use a syringe, but if you're doing a solid color, oop, a little too much on that one. Alright. So, I'm gonna dip in here. I'm gonna move this over here, because I want this filled to the top, and I want it domed, and I'll show you why in a minute. There you go. Same with this one. You want it all filled to the top. Domed over, because when you put your lid on, you want that to get a good imprint, because you have letters, numbers at the top of your cover too, that you want to make sure get good, that you get a great number from that. All right, so we're gonna clean some of this up. I'm not too worried about it because it's gonna peel off easy when I take this out of the mold. All right, we have everything good and domed. Now, nope, there's one right here. I can see. All right, now, good and domed. Before I do anything, I'm gonna spray again. Give that a few seconds. I'm gonna tap my mold so any bubbles that might be hanging out come to the surface. Okay? I think we look good. Now, here's your slit. Here's your thing, and I'm gonna spray this too. Just a little mist, that's all. You line up your long piece with your long piece here. That's the one you really focus on, right? Everything else will line up. Okay? And now I'm going to press this down. Like so, because I want all of this touching. Okay? Now, that's all for that. And let me tell you a little secret. I'm gonna wait an hour. Maybe, yeah, I'll wait an hour. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna flip this mold over. Gravity is gonna pull my resin down to make sure these numbers get really good and imprinted. See right there, I see a bubble. So I'm gonna lift and I'm gonna get that out. All right, gone, gone. Make sure you watch to make sure that you don't have any bubbles on the surface. Ooh, no, no, no. All right, so we're gonna let that sit an hour. It's all good now. Now we're gonna move over, I'm gonna set this to the side. We're gonna move over to our lid and our holder. So I'm gonna spray that, and then I'm gonna use this. Actually, I'm gonna use this. We're gonna do it this way first to finish using this up. Because this is getting warm. Down, up, done. Now, I'm gonna pour high because I really want that marbled effect. So the higher you pour, the better your effects are from what I have experienced. All right, so we're just gonna wipe that out. And now I'm going to pour more white. Use this. Ooh. Blue. And our silver. Okay? Down, up, down, up. Wipe your stick and pour. That, and we need to do one more. Won't take much. Ugh. All right. We're going to marble it. I'm going to top this off. Now, I'm going to put this in here. All right, y'all. Gotta pour our little lid, which doesn't take hardly anything at all. I don't want so much gray, blue, and that to the side. We've sprayed that. Now, down and up. All right. Now we're going to pour our lid. And y'all, this really doesn't take much at all. So we're gonna spread it out. So it's all to the edge. And the resin will spread naturally too, but we just want to give it a little nudge. There we go. Let me turn it this way. Tilt it. All right. Ta-da! All right, that's done. Okay. Now we're going to give it a spray. And that's all for part one, y'all. That's it. Like I said, in an hour, I'm going to come back. I'm going to flip this so gravity pulls it down and it gets a good imprint from the numbers that are on the lid. We want to make sure that we do that. But that's all for now. When you come back, we'll be unmolding. We'll be unmolding this. And we're not going to have a stand. We're going to have the correct holder for this. But y'all, that's all for now. So go grab a drink. It'll just be a few minutes for you guys. Make sure you do the YouTube things. Hit that subscribe button and give us a like so other people who are struggling with D&D dice will be able to find this video easier. But I'll see you guys in a few. Grab your drink and I'll see you in a minute. Hey y'all, we're back. Everything is cured. I told you it'd only be a few seconds for you guys. It was a lot longer for me. But now, we move to the second part of this. And remember, I followed your advice. I went with the white, which is the Satori White. I'm not gonna dare try to pronounce this. Ringo Blue. All of these are from eye candy. And there will be a link directly to these in the description. So if you look below, close out your chat, and click more, it will give you a link directly to everything I'm using today. Gray Tide, I can pronounce that one. And I'm going to use chrome markers to color in my numbers and details for that matter. And because I'm coloring those in, I'm going to have my handy dandy wipes available. So I'll keep that close by. But let's start with our case first. And y'all remember I told you last time I had a blooper because I poured it the wrong way. I poured it this way. So my dice have little pedestals to sit up on instead of divots to sit down in. So there we go. Pull our mold back out. It's ready for another use. Look at the marbling on this, y'all. Look at the sides. Isn't that beautiful? That really turned out great. And you saw how easy it was. Ta-da! There is your blue and white marble. Have some holes there, which I can just fill in with UV. No big deal. Beautiful, beautiful. The marble turned out so good. And y'all saw how easy it was to create this marble. All right, so we're gonna put that to the side. Let's get our lid. Ta-da! There's our lid. Beautiful. And it's gonna set like so. And now I'm gonna show y'all. I'm not gonna do the whole thing because I don't want this to be a super long video. But I love this 6 count because you have different tips on your markers in gold and silver. So that's why there's 6 in here. And let's find our skinny. I don't want gold. I'm gonna do silver. So this is the fine tip, and you can see at the bottom of these pens it tells you which tip it is. But I'm using the skinny one. Let me grab my handy dandy wipe so I can show you how easy this is. So I'm gonna go. Oh no, I messed up. Look at that. It wipes right off. No issue. That's why I keep wipes handy. So if there are any mistakes, I can easily get it cleaned up. So y'all see how, and the spine tip really, really works well for this. I can just push, get some more silver there. But you see how super easy it is with these metallic pens. I love that. I'm gonna set that to the side. It is not completely hard, so move these out of the way. I'm going to set it over here and let it finish curing. Set this out of the way. Now on to our dice, y'all. See how those numbers imprinted on that? So much easier. In fact, let's do this while we have this here. Woo! My silver's spraying everywhere. Y'all, this looks like an eyeball. And I'm gonna tell you a mistake that I made is I did not spray my alcohol between the first layer and the second layer. And that is a mistake. You definitely want to make sure that you're spraying your alcohol between all layers, because that protects any bubbles from forming. Alright, give that a minute to dry and close it. So you see, that's how we color it, right? Now, I know, see, just by this, I can pull any excess off usually just by doing that. See how easy it comes off? Doing it this way saves you from trimming, filing, whatever you choose to do. So I take the extra few minutes and peel this away. Like so. Come hither. Alright. Y'all. Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Do y'all have any plans or traditions at your house that y'all do for Cinco de Mayo? Oof. Did not realize that was there. Why did y'all tell me I had blue there? Just kidding. Just kidding. Alright, I think we got most all of the excess away. And that saves us from having to trim all of that off later. This really is no big deal. Alright, so you see all that excess right here. Throw it in my trash can. Get it out of the way before we start pulling dice out. But I hope y'all tell the difference between letting gravity be your friend and imprint these numbers from your lid that usually they don't sink as well if you don't turn it over. So there's one. Shoe back in. And these, I've never really had an issue. There's two. There's three. Ta-da! Yeah. There's another. And I'm not gonna spend the whole video making y'all watch me color these. So there you go. There's our dice. And you see how good these turned out, right? And then we just get our y'all, this one is not wanting to go in. Regardless, you see, and there we go. Ta-da! That is how you do D&D dice. And you can use acrylic paint. You can use acrylic paint pens. I prefer these chrome markers because I really like how they stand out. And I love that I have this smaller tip to make it easier to color these more precisely. It just fits perfectly in these divots like that. So it's super easy. See that, y'all? It really is super easy using this thinner tip that comes, it only comes in the 6 count from less resin. I found that out, excuse me, because I also have their, I think it's a 3 count that has silver, gold, and like a bronze, which those are great too for outlining things, but I really, I am using this one the majority of the time because normally I'm using gold or silver, and I have the choices of tips. So you have a round tip, which is great for your domino dots. I always use a round tip for that. I use my skinny tip for the line between the dots on my dominoes. I use the, oh, it just went away. The chisel tip to outline my coasters or other pieces like that. So that's an example of those. I love those chrome markers. But I hope this helps you guys in your D&D attempts in knowing that really and honestly, the biggest tip is flipping it and letting gravity be your friend. Let that natural pull work for you. And it also pulls the resin so it's evenly distributed. And you saw there's no holes, there's nothing missing, right? So those 3 S's, do you remember what they are? Tell me in comments. Did this help you upgrade your dice game? Is it going to help you do this much easier? Did you learn how to pour marble better? Do you like the combo that y'all chose? I really love this marbling on the side. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Alright, y'all. That's going to be it for this one. Make sure you do all the YouTube things. Give this a thumbs up so other artists can find this who might be struggling in their own dice game and want to find an easier way or a how-to step-by-step and learn some new tricks. But I hope this helped you. Do all the YouTube things. Leave me a comment. Even if there's something you didn't like or you don't like the way I did it, let me know. Because all of your feedback helps me in future videos and helps me with ideas that will help y'all better. But that's it for this one, y'all. Be careful, no drinking and driving on Cinco de Mayo. Pass me a margarita, would ya? Until next time, y'all, happy arting. Ta-ta for now.